So there's currently a lot of hype surrounding AI, and I've seen many companies invest significant amounts of money into these kinds of projects because of it. The unfortunate reality is that most of these projects fail because they turn out to be much more technically complex than initially thought. In this video I want to give a bit of a reality check based on what I've observed while working in the field for the last 5 years. I think there's quite a gap between expectations and actual potential of the technology, at least in its current state. Afterward, I want to share with you a simple framework used by NASA that has helped me make better decisions based on uncertainty-adjusted time estimates. All new technologies usually experience a lot of hype in the beginning. This is the result of an evolutionary process of media articles and social media posts where drama and excitement almost always wins the battle for attention. Studies have also shown that the more emotionally engaged we are, the more time we spend on a platform or a website. And the more time we spend there, the more ads can be shown and the more revenue will be generated. The result of such ad-driven business models is a self-feeding system where journalists and creators are forced into the use of sensationalism and clickbait over objectivity and accuracy. It takes much more effort to stay relevant with content that is realistic or requires in-depth explanation than it is with an over-dramatized or biased representation of things. By the way, there is an excellent video on clickbait by Veritasium that also touches on a lot of these topics if you're interested. Now, the unfortunate consequence of this is that we have an illusion of getting closer to the truth, while in reality developing a distorted view on things through the dramatizing lenses of the media that we consume. In the case of AI, I've observed how this caused many people to develop a fear of missing out or of getting replaced by AI and losing their job. These anxieties unfortunately represent an excellent opportunity for capturing attention. On one hand, you have sensational reports of an upcoming AI doomsday, and on the other you see overhyped announcements of AI releases, funding rounds and massive GPU purchases. Again, their sole purpose is to capturing clicks and attention and not, like most people think, to inform or educate. For me personally, this led to a constant feeling of working too slow while missing out on some huge opportunities. Even though I saw the much less impressive reality of things unfold in companies around me every day, but more on this in a second. Gartner describes this stage of a new technology as the peak of inflated expectations. And they've put Gen AI right at the peak of their 2023 hype cycle. I like this illustration a lot because it shows, based on our experience, that the hype is usually not grounded in reality and is typically followed by a trough of disillusionment before finally reaching a plateau of productivity. Now, the distance between the actual and the promised value that Gen AI can provide is what I like to call the AI expectation gap. It is a direct result of media sensationalism combined with individuals and companies misusing their influence for financial gain by exaggerating a technology's impact. A rather extreme example of this is a suspicion that OpenAI might have used the whole AI safety topic to create artificial drama and hype around their company.
Ask the question, really. It upsets me when like GPT-2, when OpenAI came out with GPT-2 and raised a whole fake AI safety thing about that. I mean, now the model is laughable. Like they used AI safety to hype up their company, and it's disgusting.
Or the flip side of that is they used a relatively weak model in retrospect to explore how do we do AI safety correctly? How do we release things? How do we go through the process? I don't know if
Sure.
I don't know
All
how
right. That's
I don't know how much hype there is.
That's the charitable interpretation.
In the end, we don't know, and don't get me wrong, AI safety is definitely a very important topic. But it's always good to keep a healthy skepticism towards everything that the media and companies report to the public. ChatGPT and large language models are great tools, and it's crazy what capabilities emerged simply through scaling up the model and data. But we also have to understand that a lot of the intelligence we experience is just a representation of human intelligence. We are not chatting with a conscious entity, but with a high-dimensional representation of all of human knowledge. So most of the things we ask have in-sample answers, and we are prompting, interpreting, and often reading between the lines of the model's outputs in a way that is valuable for us humans. However, addressing real-world challenges in an automated way still brings significant technical challenges and limitations, especially if there's no form of human oversight. Even after a couple of AI years now, there are still a lot of complexities and open questions on how to deploy and operate machine learning models efficiently. Gartner estimates it will take another 5 to 10 years before we reach a plateau of productivity for MLOps and Gen AI, so let's hope we don't have to wait for quite as long. But where there is hype, there is business. Besides media companies and influencers making a lot of ad revenue, there is a large and growing industry of AI experts who offer implementation services or products. They live off that hype and are hence incentivized to fuel it instead of managing it. Pair this with directors who feel a constant pressure to keep up with the latest technology trends and the mentioned fear of missing out, and you have a recipe for disaster. Media-driven beliefs about the power of AI meet refined sales pitches of claimed experts, leading to emotional decision-making and large investments, often with significant hidden risks. Resulting projects tend to blow up in cost and complexity, putting a lot of pressure on the developers who struggle to meet these unrealistic expectations. During my consultant years, I've observed this across almost all companies and AI teams, from startups to enterprise. To me, this was especially heartbreaking to see in small to medium-sized companies, where owners bet their savings or entire innovation budgets on AI projects, which ended up failing in the majority of cases. To add some numbers to the picture, a Harvard Business article mentions that an estimated 80% of AI projects fail. A Deloitte investigation found that only 18 to 36% of organizations currently achieve their expected benefits from AI. And there are many other analyses and reports pointing at the same problem. This has also been called the AI deployment gap, and I plan to make a more technical video discussing concrete challenges I've observed that contribute to this. If there's enough interest, I might also share more of my personal approach to MLOps later on, but let's see. To be clear, I really don't think that there are only people with bad intentions or fake experts in the field of AI. It just remains a significant challenge to discern hype from reality for all of us. That's why in the next part I want to give some more specific guidance on how to develop more realistic expectations. Every project is different and brings many new unknowns, often making initial complexity estimates highly speculative. To visualize the implications of this, people have used what is called the cone of uncertainty. It was originally developed for the chemical industry all the way back in the 1950s. Later it got picked up in the software field by Barry Boehm around 1981 and was further validated on work at NASA's software engineering lab in the 1990s. It shows how early complexity estimates tend to be wrong by a factor of 4. So a project might actually take anywhere between 0.25 and 4 times as long as initially estimated. It also shows that the uncertainty decreases as the project progresses, especially during initial feasibility studies, requirement collections, and product design sprints. These estimates are based on project data from expert teams at NASA and their like. So I think it's fair to add even more uncertainty for projects based on newer technologies like AI because of all the issues we've discussed in the last parts. From my own journey, I can tell you that MLOps, especially in the beginning, is very hard. And even after 5 years, I still constantly learn new things and optimize my approach to deployments. Sure, you get better each time, but it often has been a painful and slow learning process with a lot of trial and error. Definitely nothing to be underestimated. First, if you find yourself either very excited or scared about AI, be aware that these feelings might come from artificially inflated expectations. Second, note that hardly anything but years of practical experience can reduce the risk of underestimating the complexities of creating AI-based solutions. It's important to treat AI projects just like any other high-complexity software project and always go through various prototyping and validation phases before making larger commitments. The more information was gathered, the better the estimate for the deployment effort will be, and only if the results look promising and there's still a clear business case, you can make an informed decision to moving forward with the project. I unfortunately don't have a final solution to this whole media sales hype cycle situation, but I think understanding it is probably a good first step, and I hope this video is helping a bit with that. Yes, I believe that AI holds enormous potential and it can have a significant positive impact on our lives and society in the future. This, in combination with an excitement for complex technology and building things, is also my personal motivation for working in the field. But being driven by the idea of easy money and quick wins due to a hype surrounding a technology comes with huge financial risks, especially for people and companies without a deep technical background. Going to extremes of AI hype or doubt is both not helpful, and I see how the distorted reality presented by the media and companies today is damaging the integrity of our field. I can only hope we all develop the skill to select better and more diverse sources of information rather than solely relying on mainstream media or company presentations. If you liked this video and you want it to be suggested to more people, leave a comment or like. As you can see, I'm also just starting out with this channel, but there's a lot more exciting stuff coming up very soon, so you also might want to consider subscribing. Until then, have a wonderful day and see you in the next one.